Hello viewer, and thank you very much for joining us on The People Show. Today with us on set is a very special guest, and I particularly had to choose this one. Well, her name is Fatma Elmawi. Fatma Elmawi is a business mentor, and today she's going to share with us her life and of course what she does and how what she does also impacts on the people that she meets in her daily life. And besides that, she's going also to share with us an array of scenarios, stories and situations that she met in life and dealt with. And I believe that that will actually be of great help to you, our viewer at home. So if you have any comments, suggestions or opinion, you can send that to our email, info@gbskenya.com. You can also drop us an email on 21144. 21144 is the number. My name is Timothy Omondi. Welcome aboard. Fatma, karibu sana.
Asante Timothy, and asanteni viewers for watching the program.
Karibu.
Okay, Fatma Elmawi was born in Mombasa. Family comes from Lamu, and as you know, a lot of families from Lamu after a while took their children to Mombasa to study. But mine was more interesting because my father used to work for the then East African Railways. So I'd like to call myself a child of East Africa because I've lived in Tanzania, I've lived in Kenya, I've lived in Uganda. And something so interesting because as I grew up, I worked in all these three countries.
Oh.
Yeah.
Professionally?
Yes,
oh,
yes. I've worked in Kenya, I've worked in Tanzania, I've worked in Uganda. When you talk about childhood, I had a very, very interesting childhood. Most of it was done in Tanzania because that's where my dad used to work at that particular point in time. And I'm one of those kids you would call a tomboy. I mean, looking at me now, it's almost, you can't imagine. But we've done the trees, we've done the mangoes, we've done the streets. We've done, you know, when I see children on the road picking stuff, I actually see myself there.
Kicking bottles as they go all the way from school to home.
Oh, yes, kicking bottles. Even, I'm sorry to say this, picking, you know, yes. So
something interesting.
So I've actually done all that. I finished my education, then I had to come back to Kenya when the railways, the community collapsed, so we had to come back. Went to school back again in Mombasa. I was the first person to go to the university from my family. So that was a first. It's a good one. I remember the first time I went to Nairobi was the first time I actually came to college at the university.
Oh.
Yeah.
Among how many siblings?
We are 8. We were 8. One passed away. We are now 7. And I'm the 5th born. So being a middle child is actually not easy because sometimes you have to fight. You have to fight for your space. But the good thing about being a middle child, at a very young age, it taught us, or it taught me, teamwork. How do I get my brothers and my sisters to agree, and then how do I get my younger to also follow me? At that time, I never thought of it, but now that, by the way, I train as well, I mentor and I coach. So it has really helped me in terms of training and in terms of coaching as well. Things that I would like to say that I got them for free. And now I actually use them.
Now you use them.
Oh yes, oh yes.
For your trade.
Yes, I do.
Growing up, most of the time we look at people at their later life that, you know, when they choose their professions and stuff like that. And a bigger percentage of people are influenced by what they experience in their childhood. Maybe something they saw at their childhood and they decided, this is what I want to become when I grow up, and now they work towards that. Was yours the same, or did it just happen? I mean, you went to college and then you decided to do something different.
I believe every human being gets impacted. Your childhood, you may not think of it that way, but it really affects you in your later life. I mean, for me, I just spoke about being a middle child. and that gave me the teamwork. How do you negotiate? Things that you negotiate. How do you get people to your point of view? That kind of stuff. Things that I'm actually training now, I lived them when I was young. But the other things that are so important to me is what my mother always used to tell me. Don't pick what is not yours.
All right.
Don't do this. Don't, usione wale wako chini. Umeona? So these are the things that you don't think about them, but they really impact you when you grow up. One of the things that I used to like, I never thought I would work for an airline. I would always watch, because we could not afford to fly. I would always watch, but when I got an opportunity, I actually went and worked for an airline. So my entire life sort of was with an airline. And what did I do when I was with the airline? It was, again, drawing back on experiences that I had as a child. How do you manage groups? How do you get people to rally to a common cause? So these are the things that impacted me, and I carried them, and I still carry them up to today.
All right.
Now, when we are growing up, we tend to look at the other world like, if I had. Maybe you see people driving, you see people having nice clothes, but you don't realize they want what you have. Because as much as you are playing on the streets and you are dirty, maybe yako mmoja peke yake, hana mtu wa kucheza naye. So they may be in big cars or big houses, or I'm not saying this is good or this is bad, but it's just that as a child, we never had a lot, but we never lacked anything. All right. I know that sounds strange. We never had in terms of material things, but we never lacked anything. Because a child doesn't even know, well, ukimwekea ile chakula utamwekea, that's the only food they know.
With that.
They're content. That's the only thing they know. And what matters most to a child is the relationships that they build, the friends that they have. That is the richness of that life, as opposed to having material things. So I had an extremely rich life, maybe not materially, but rich in terms of relationships. We sit with friends today and we laugh at what we used to do, and those are the things that you carry along. So what I would say is, at whatever age that you are, you may want to maintain relationships, because this is something that you'll carry along with you. Not so much the material things. They're important, but they're not everything in life. Yeah.
I mean, that reminds me of a philosophy that I grew up knowing, and I received this from one of my mentors, who told me that wealth, how do you define wealth? To him, his definition of wealth was the people around you.
Yeah.
The more people you have around you, the wealthier you are. Having said that, how was your college day life like? You know, when you went to college, you know, most people, you said coming to Nairobi, when you came to college, was your first time in Nairobi. I mean, there's a lot of excitement always coming to Nairobi, and it's college, and you know, there's that euphoria and everything. How was your college day like?
College for us was also very good, because again, we were a number of girls from the coast. Unajua, there were not many coming. So because we were like about 5 or 6 of us, we were so close, man. I remember I was brought to Nairobi not by my mom. I was brought to Nairobi by my friend's mother. My friend's called Anna Njaramba. And the Njarambas never said, "Uyu ni Mswahili, ayu ni mkabila gani." No. I was a child. I was their child. So this is one of the things I grew up with. I don't differentiate between sijue kabila iwe kabila. I find that a challenge that is there today, because for us, we were all together. If you were hungry, you would just walk into the neighbor's house, and then you'd be given food, and vice versa. Now, college, as I said, communally was good, but let me tell you a secret. Coming from not extremely healthy, financially healthy backgrounds, we always looked forward to our boom. You know, I was that age. So the boom, for me, did not buy clothes. Boom, for me, paid fees for my siblings. Amona. So college was good, college was interesting, college was a time when we were exploring ourselves, exploring the world, without losing touch of actually who we were and where we were coming from.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting. I mean, today, many young people, both male and female, get carried away. And I'm sorry to say this, but it's the truth. Especially those who get carried away the most today are those who come from humble backgrounds. When they enter into that environment, and then everybody is spending, and there's that,
Peer
lifestyle
pressure.
and the peer pressure. Leads them to things like prostitution, leads them to things like drugs and crimes. We've seen in the past where we have, cases where inside the cubicles of university students within the institutions, guns are found, drugs are found. We've had cases of young girls, losing their lives in dubious incidences. Were these things common in your day?
Actually, we never had. And the interesting thing is, when we came to college, number one, we were not as crowded as they are today.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, this is number one. Number two, we were actually seen to be the cream, and we appreciated that role.
Yes.
For example, on my floor, we had children from very, very affluent upmarket. I mean, I had the Ndegwas, I had Julia Onjiambo's daughter, I mean, Khashala. So we were like...
With them.
Yes. And some of us came from humble backgrounds.
Yes.
But you could never tell the difference. We were all together. Why? Because we never... The yardstick of life was not how expensive your dress was.
Measured by that.
It wasn't measured by that. It was, again, I know this sounds a little bit simplistic, but it's about the relationship. What kind of a person is Fatma?
All right.
What kind of a person is Salma? What kind of a person is Anna? And then, if we felt one of us was going kidogo out. Utaitwa.
Sawa.
Utaitwa na utaambiwa, Fatma, hapa tumekuona hivi. And nobody felt bad. But nowadays, if you tell a friend atakwambia utadu, ama why, it's my life. So I think this starts from a very, very young age. One of the things that I do, and I normally don't like talking about this, is I work, because CSR for us should not be discussed,
Sure.
but we mentor young girls who have been thrown out by society, maybe because they were raped or something happened to them and they were thrown out, which is unfortunate because pengine umekuwa in that situation, somebody raped you.
Sure.
And then your family
disowns
you. The school throws you out. You have a child at age 14.
You yourself are a child.
Where do you go? So we work with them and we actually try to help them. When I say economically, not to give them money, but basically teach them how to fish so that they can sustain themselves.
All right.
I find it's the fabric of society that we need to go back to, whereby we really talk to our children, whether it's a girl or a boy, and enhance those relationships. Enhance so that msichana wako ama kijana anaweza kuja kukwambia, Mama, this happened, blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
I mean, I had my daughter, because I have two girls, one of them coming to tell me, Ma, today my teacher did this to me.
All right.
And I thought that was really good because if it's not appropriate, I can immediately...
That you can immediately respond to that
Yes,
and see how
but
to
I'm not so
respond.
sure how many families those things happen. So that is what needs to be nurtured. Let me take you to this mentoring, this training, because originally, as I said, I worked in foreign affairs, I worked in Office of the President, and then I went into private sector, and private sector I went and I worked for the airline, starting with Kenya Airways.
Yes.
I grew in Kenya Airways, then I was headhunted, and I went to Emirates, headhunted, and I went to Qatar Airways. And along the way, I found that service was never consistent, and incidentally, this is what took me to training. trying to make people grow, because again, we get so satisfied. We don't strive for more. We don't strive for better. And okay, there's two aspects of it. Kuna wale ambao they don't do it at all. Na kuna wale ambao they overdo it. Kuna wengine ambao success career-wise is everything to them. So hiyo iko na challenge yake. And then kuna wale ambao they just feel, I come from a poor background, I can never do.
So I'm just satisfied with my situation.
Every human being was only given one brain. I mean, God is an equalizer, isn't it? God gave each one of us 24 hours. It is what you do with that brain and that time that matters.
I'd like to, there's a quote by a famous guy, I think Bill Gates, to be born poor, that's not your fault. No one will blame you for it. But to die poor,
then that's a choice. Okay. Now, what do you mean by a choice? Let me take you back to what you said about wealth.
Yes.
And I'd like to talk about success. Success to everyone is different. To someone else, success is about the cars, the house, isn't it?
Things.
The material things. Na mwingine, success is how connected am I to my children.
All right.
Okay? How many kids wale niko nao wamemaliza shule? That is success. So number one, I would say you need to define what is success to you.
All right.
For people like me, success, how many lives have I impacted?
All right.
Unajua Waislamu tunaambiwa, when you go back to your creator is going to ask you, I gave you a mind, I gave you health, I gave you wealth. What did you use it? How did you use it? Did you impact somebody else? So I may not have the wealth like maybe the Kina Chandarias, but God gave me something.
Brain.
Use it. Umeona? In its smallest way, use it to impact somebody else. And that's a philosophy I've carried through all my life. And that's a philosophy, let me tell you, it has always helped. Because when you give, God always gives back. Hata saa hii nikikupa mkono wangu si utatoa wako?
Ndio.
But ikiweka mkono wangu hapa, hautatoa wako.
Mtu atanyosha.
Precisely. So give in order to get.
This is very interesting. Now, in your line, as you're working now, maybe our viewer is asking themselves, Fatma anafanya nini sasa hivi?
Okay.
Na kazi ambayo anafanya kwa sasa hivi, how can I benefit from what Fatma is doing, or what impact will Fatma cause into my life right now? What does Fatma do as a person this time?
Okay. As I said, Fatma trains, Fatma mentors, Fatma coaches. I actually mentor and I coach both locally as well as globally. I'm a coach with the Sherry Blair Foundation, so I have mentees all over the place that we mentor them in business. We also do it locally. I sit on the panel of experts for Gulf African Bank, and I mentor for them for their women products, for people that want to scale their business. I used to train for the African Development Bank, and I also trained for the World Bank through IFC. What is of interest right now that I'm doing, Fatma is a board director at the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and I'm actually vying, I am vying to be the first vice president, because now we are called chamber presidents, the first vice president ever at the Chamber of Commerce. So what do I do at the Chamber of Commerce? As a board member, I did two things. I looked after advocacy. Advocacy means that how do we liaise, how do we talk to the government and influence policies that are friendly to the business person.
Business community,
And I'm so happy one of the issues that we looked at as far as our advocacy was concerned was CES. What do we mean by CES? Multiple licenses. Mtu wa biashara akitoka Nairobi akitaka kwenda Kisumu, at every county that you go, you pay. Meaning that by the time ukifika Kisumu, your products are not competitive. Number two, which has been a cry for Chamber of Commerce, is that serikali has not been paying. And I'm so happy juzi, rais yetu ametoa timeline na amesema watu walipwe pesa zao. So these are the two things that we have been engaging. what do I want to do? And I'm hoping the ladies and the youth and the men will vote for me on Saturday, is that we want to scale up the SMEs. Okay, how do we scale up? We scale up by skilling them and giving them skills, kwa sababu ukipatia mtu pesa na kama haujampatia skills how to use that money, then that money does not get used properly, then serikali, banks, blah 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 blah, ni hasara, isn't it? That's number one. Number two, my favorite saying is that whether we like it or not, people like me tumeshafika 6 o'clock.
Ndio.
Sasa siku za kulala zimefanya nini?
Zimeisha.
Zimekaribia.
Oh.
Meaning that whether we like it or not, we are ready to be taken back by our Creator.
Ah, by your Creator. So now I understand kulala.
So Timothy, the youth, what are we doing by the youth? Sure. It is not lip service. It is about how do we engage the youth. Again, most of Kenya tunaambiwa soma upate kazi nzuri, but hakuna kazi.
Hata sisi tukisoma tuliambiwa soma upate kazi nzuri.
Hakuna kazi. And serikali, governments do not create jobs. It is the private sector that creates jobs. So what do? We need to train our youth. Something that I'm doing right now, and something that once we go in, because we already have a president, Mr. Richard Ngatia, once we go in, we want to skill the youth, we want to build the capacity of the youth, then make available resources for the youth to be able to grow their businesses. That is what we would like to do at the chamber.
That's very important, and I'd like you to hold that thought, because I'd like to engage you more. There's a lot of incidences where youth receive money for the funds that are set aside, politicians out of their own kitties and stuff like that. They get money to do stuff, but then they don't do that stuff.
Yeah.
We blame them sometimes, but then at times we realize that what you say, they lack the skill and the know-how on how to do the business. So I'd like us to discuss that in the second half when we come back. Okay. Viewer, if you're just joining us, you're watching The People Show. We take a short break right now. Today we have with us on set Fatma. Fatma is a business mentor, and she's also a coach, and she's been sharing with us her story and what she does to the community. And quite interestingly, she's also vying for the position of Vice President at the Chamber of Commerce. Well, I think the first woman.
Yes, another first.
That's very interesting. And don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after this short break. Fatma El-Mawi is a business coach and also a business mentor.
It is not easy. Let me repeat that. But it is doable. Why would you ask a woman who is qualified, who can do it, to step down for a man? Umempatia mtu pesa, hajajua vile atafanya. Kama sijavaa rinda siku zote jipya, si nitaenda ninunua kwanza.
Hello viewer, welcome back to The People Show. Today we have with us on set Fatma El-Mawi, a business mentor and coach and also a trainer. Fatma, when we were going for the short break, we were talking about, issues of ethics. And in the business community, I think it's also very important for you also to share with us this time, as to our viewers as well. As you train people on business, I believe there are also issues of ethics that we have to touch on. Like I mentioned during the break, business people giving some money so that they can win a tender or they can be given a contract. How does this affect the whole business cycle in a country or for us as a community?
Actually, ethics is also personal and internal, okay? At the Chamber of Commerce, I was also the chair of the ethics committee.
Yes.
And one of the things that we did was to make sure that the leadership signed up to the code of ethics and the code of conduct.
All right.
You see, one is to say, I shall not, like the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not do, thou shalt. But the other one is, should you, what will happen to you? So that is what we did. Interesting, I'm also a trainer on business ethics. Yes. We train organizations because a lot of people tend to believe that if I don't give kitu kidogo, my business cannot grow.
Sure.
I mean, I've been in business now for over 10 years, and I have not given kitu kidogo. And yet...
It's the environment that we've created. I mean...
You see now, there's the myth and there's the reality. Now, if you want to follow the myth and the short way, you will do it. Okay. If you want to follow the reality, that's the hard way. This one is the easy way.
Yes.
This is the hard way. It can also be done. So my participants ask me, but Fatma, if I don't give, I don't get.
I don't get.
That is true. I mean, that is true. But you see, there was research that was conducted. If you want to grow long term, you need to get your things in order.
All right.
Pay your taxes, do your diligence, do blah, 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 blah.
Have all your books clean.
It is not easy. Let me repeat that. But it is doable.
Yes.
Now, if you do it the shortcut way, for example, Timothy and Company Limited or Fatma and Company Limited, my business used to come in because I used to call people, okay? What happens when I'm not there? And that business used to survive because of the deals that I used to do. So for your business to grow long term, okay, you need to do it the proper way. Unfortunately for us, corruption in Africa is about survival. It's not a moral issue. People don't think of it as a moral problem. It's about survival. If I don't give, I don't get. So I don't want to waste my time. Let me just give alafu nifanye nini? Niende. But for business, you are shooting yourself in the foot. Now, we have a business ethics conference coming up, 25th, 26th, incidentally, at Safari Park.
25th?
26th of June.
Of this month.
At Safari Park.
All right.
And one of the things that we also do is to show organizations how your company can actually grow without being corrupt. I know it's not easy to think about it. It is doable. Now, a lot of organizations want to go globally. They want to grow.
Sure.
For you to be able to grow globally, now we are being told kuna laws that are they are not confined in a geographical space.
All right.
If today Fatma is exporting, let's say, bananas, and I'm exporting to a particular country, ikiwa, and to a global partner, if Fatma has corrupted here in Kenya, that person in Europe anakuwa fined. So the European or the global companies now are very, very careful about the people they deal with here locally. And what we are telling our Kenyan companies, do things right.
All right.
So that when you want to grow, when you want to plug into the local markets, the one thing they're going to look at are your ethical business practices. Yeah.
When you talk about ethics, I mean, it's a good thing that you're bringing it up. And like you said, in Kenya today, we don't look at it as
a moral
issue. We look at it more of a survival tactics, I would say. You said you have a conference coming up on the 26th.
Yes.
I think this is a good measure also. Looking at the response from the community, from the business community around you, probably I would say that's the private sector. Are they responding well?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Okay, this is, by the way, I attended the multi-sectoral and I thought that was great. This is purely private sector led.
All right.
We as a private sector, we want to sit and say, we have a problem here.
Yes.
You know, without admitting you have a problem, you can never move on, okay? And now that we have this problem, what can we as a private sector do in order to remove this issue?
Right.
Kwa sababu no country will grow when such practices go zimekuwa kubwa. We may not be able to eradicate it completely, lakini we can reduce it. Now, within the private sector, this is where we want to talk about how you can actually grow your business without, okay? We also train, so one of the outputs that we are hoping is that people who attend, we will train. We train your managers, we train your supervisors.
Yes.
We look at the gaps that organizations have. Sometimes as a company, wewe una create mashida mwenyewe, but you don't realize.
Sure.
And how do you don't realize is because your systems and processes are not quite closed. You've opened yourself up to
loose ends.
So we need to close those loose ends. We also need to train the people, because corruption increases the cost of doing business by over 20%.
20%?
Oh yes, 20%. Now, when businesses are not growing, surely, do you want to lose 20%? And this is where, tunaambia private sector, you're actually shooting yourself in the foot. So it's like you're running there, but you're not making any progress. Why you're not making any progress? Simply because there is fraud, and fraud is a lot, okay? Then we have this corruption, then because fraud is part of corruption, then we have these unethical practices that we do. And when you do it, don't forget, people follow what you do, not what you say.
What you say.
Ikiwa wewe unafanya huko nje, sina wao pia wanafanya huko ndani.
Now, two things. Being in that position of someone who is trying to spearhead, who is trying to tackle head-on such a practice that has become, I would say, a plague in our country, because issues of ethics, I mean, it's obvious, it's out there. Ethically, as a society, we are struggling. We can't say we are well, we are doing it. As a woman, playing that role and spearheading this kind of initiatives, is it easy?
Of course not. It's not easy.
Lots of fights from the male.
It was never meant to be easy. But again, if you are convinced something needs to be done, and this is where I'd like to recall the late Wangari Maathai, who used to say that you need to take that first step. Now, when we talk about ethics, by the way, let me take you back a little bit. We are talking about business ethics. I'm not looking at, because that's the scope is too broad. We are just looking at business. And what we are doing is, Timothy, we want to show you how, by engaging in some of these things, you are actually killing your business before your business has grown. And our issue is, how do we make your business grow? And I know it sounds weird, but for your business to grow, you need to have ethical practices.
Doesn't public-private partnership have some form of initiative within itself, you know, to help curb such and to help also mitigate some of these things that we're seeing today? Because, I mean, there's the government's public-private partnership.
The PPP, yeah.
And isn't it playing a role in helping curb this?
You see,
especially in the business environment?
When we go out and when we tell people that let's train you on business ethics, the first thing is everybody's defensive. I'm ethical. I'm not corrupt.
All right.
Okay.
No one.
And very well. You can be. There are good people out there.
Yes.
See, not at everybody's bad.
Yes.
There's some excellent business people. So you are okay, Timothy.
Yes.
Lakini, can you really say your 500 employees are as ethical as you are?
You cannot say that.
You can't. So it's not about you as a person. And a lot of people take it personally. I'm ethical. It is the organization we look at. It is the people we look at. It is the systems and the processes. Are there loopholes which people abuse? In business ethics, we say the ratio is 10-80-10.
10-80-10.
Yes. 10% of people will not corrupt no matter what.
All right.
Okay? And the other 10 will always look for a loophole to corrupt, to look for an easy way, to look for that key deal. Now, we are working with the middle 80%, because this 80% can go either way depending on the circumstances. If the circumstances are good, wataenda pande hii. If the circumstances are not good,
Yeah,
wataenda pande hii. So why don't we work with these 80% by closing the loopholes and making sure we get more of these 80% into the first quadrant of 10 who will not corrupt.
Wow, that's an interesting approach.
Yeah.
I'm not being pessimistic. This is Kenya. Is it working?
One person at a time. We've had about 1, 2, 3. There's been about 4 trainings. Okay. And we followed up some of the people that we trained, and they actually feel yes, now they are more comfortable, they sleep better, their systems are okay, and they've actually made more money. So this is not something that can be done in a year or 2. This is a long haul, because what are we doing? You are changing people's behaviors, people's mindsets, and it's not easy to do that. So one person at a time. Systems, processes, people. Lakini systems, processes are the easier ones. The challenging one is the people. Yeah.
Now, let me get back now to Fatma and her aspirations as the first vice president, deputy president. We moved away from the vice president and the deputy, but as a vice president of Chamber of Commerce. You told me that now you're vying against 2 gentlemen.
Yes.
But then, Fatma, what made you vie for this position? What drove you and you felt like, okay, Fatma, nataka hiki kiti na ni nini hasa, kwa nini hasa Fatma anataka hiki?
You know, I'm laughing because some people have told me stupid. I mean, why would you want to do this? Especially because hii ni kazi ambayo hautalipwa. So why do you want to do it? Short of sounding a bit, why not? Okay, why not? I've been at the chamber. I've been at the chamber Mashinani in Lamu. I was the vice chair in Lamu. And I can tell you every month as a vice chair, I needed to make enough money so that I could pay for my CEO, because chamber never had money. Okay, I would pay for the CEO, and my chair would pay for the office. Now these are things that need to be changed. This is a business organization. We are the people, the engine of society, to be honest with you. Lakini if every month I'm busy looking for money to pay for the CEO, then something is wrong there.
That happens in our Kenya Chamber of Commerce?
Of course. Some offices, yes, it does.
In Mashinani?
In Mashinani. But you see where the challenge here is, we need to think differently.
Yes.
How do we need to think differently? Let's not look for what I can get today.
Yes.
You need to work towards making sure that you offer value. Now, the manifesto that our president has given and the manifesto that I follow, because I want to make sure I implement, I'm very good at implementing, is to make sure whatever chamber collects, first and foremost, we share with our brothers and sisters. Okay? Kwa sababu in a family, and we are all one family, we are 47 of us, okay, a big family. Huwezi sema, this is chamber A and this is chamber B. No, we are all together. So we need to assist. But how do we assist them? We need to train, number 1. Is the CEO aware of their mandate? We've just gone through elections and we have a lot of new people that have come in. Do they really understand the chamber mandate? Do they know what they have to do? Now, once people know what they have to do, it becomes easier for people to deliver. But you cannot expect people to deliver when they actually don't know. And how will they deliver? When they know and they give good service. So tunasema ni huduma bora ambayo tutatoa huko chini mashinani. Tunasema ni kwa ofisi zikuwe funded for some time, zikuwe funded so that the chairman, the CEO and the board members, their focus now is how do we grow? How do we get more people? How do we advocate?
How do we give services to our members?
Thank you. Because when you give services, then you will get more members. When you get more members, you make more money. When you get more money, now
there's efficiency.
There's efficiency. And then the one thing that I would like to do is actually to have an inward focus. Because I know Kenyans tunapenda kwenda huko juu. Let's look inwards. Where I come from, okay, let me not even take Lamu, Lamu mbali. Hebu tuchukue Mombasa. Mombasa kabichi zinatoka bara. Kabichi, carrots, mboga, you know, they come from Taveta, they come from upcountry. We need to encourage inter-county trade.
Yes.
I was in Nyandarua, Kirinyaga, hizo areas, Narok, looking for votes, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, nimeenda kokote. And ukienda barabarani unakuta wamama na vijana hawana kitu wamefanya, na kila mtu anauza tomatoes na vitunguu na waru. Umeona?
It's very true.
Now, why not kile kitunguu isiende coast? Kile kitunguu isiende Nairobi. By the way, kitunguu in Nairobi comes from Tanzania. Kitunguu Nairobi comes from Ethiopia. Now, it beats logic. If we want to grow as a country, we must trade with each other. So these are the things that, as a chamber, we need to look into.
Sure.
Let's trade with each other. I originally said, let's remove inter-county zile cess mingi sana. Kwa sababu
license ni hapa pale hivyo.
Kwa sababu counties wameweka levies and national government imeweka levies. So, which is okay if I'm using national roads, I pay government levy through the fuel that I bought.
Yes.
But I should not pay again to the county. I have already paid.
So if I'm crisscrossing like 5 counties, I have to pay 5 times.
Unalipa. So what we are saying is that, again, let us look long term. If I do business and I grow, and you, government, you own 30% of my business because we pay taxes, you must create an environment where my business grows so that my 30% can grow. But if you overtax me and you overburden me, that 30% keeps on becoming smaller and smaller.
Sure. And the other day you have nothing.
Nothing. Just a quick one. Europe, majority trades with itself. Internally.
Yeah, internally.
Okay? Before they trade globally. Kwanza na sisi tuanze nyumbani. Charity begins at home. Let us first enhance and increase trade internally in Kenya. Then let us increase trade with our brothers and sisters in Africa.
That's intra-Africa trade.
Then go into Africa, then go Europe. Umeona?
So we do it from inside out.
Inside out.
I mean, time is not really a friend here. Our time is almost up, actually up. But then I would not want us to live without saying this. As you do this work, as a woman who's done this for these many years, I would just like you to speak to our women out there, to our young girls who I think as I'm choosing my career, there's some areas I don't want to go into because so male dominated and all these challenges and ABCD. I'd just like you to speak to them. And of course, I think it's a good opportunity also. Your members will be watching you up there and speak to them as well.
Actually, allow me, just fine, before I do that, I spoke about youth.
Yes.
And you know, the last time the youth were given money through various government interventions, the uptake and the repayment was not very high.
Yes.
The reason being is that umempatia mtu pesa hajajua vile atafanya. Sasa let me be honest, without reducing this conversation. Kama sijavaa rinda siku zote jipya, si nitaenda ninunua kwanza. Umeona? So what we are saying is, before we can disburse this money, let us work with this young man, let us work with this lady, and be very clear what business you want to do, how you want to scale up your business. By the time hii pesa ikiingia banki yako, imejisambaza, imeenda pale, imeenda. We don't leave you there.
So are we talking about an incubation process? Or
kind of, but we also mentor you and we also coach you so that you become a success story, and then we get another person. Now there's another group. This is what we call diversity and inclusion. We are diverse. We are diverse. Everybody's different, but we are first amongst equals. So it's about women, it's about youth. And there's another group that has really been forgotten. And this is those who are differently abled. Why should you, ukizaa mtoto ambaye ana kilema, the only thing that this person can do is to go and beg? No.
It's not good.
No. God has given them different abilities. So let us work with them as well, so that they can do business and they can grow.
They can also get the training and
same, and they can grow. So to my children, to my daughters, okay, to the women, there's been a lot of stories within Chamber. Why don't you step down?
wow.
Okay, for a man. And I asked my fellow women, you've been fighting for the women agenda, we've been fighting for empowerment. Why would you ask a woman who is qualified, who can do it, to step down for a man? Why?
Are you less qualified?
Actually, more, not less, more qualified than the men. So this is, tunasema kwa Kiswahili ni kasumba. So that is something that we need to look into. Number two, for the young girls who want to make it, I come from humble beginnings. I never had a godfather. I don't come from a so-called big tribe. How did I make it? I made it through sheer hard work. Be the best in whatever that you can do. Mpaka if somebody wants to deny you, anashindwa vile atakudeny.
Anaibika.
Because anaibika. Because anajua, unajua.
Unajua kufanya.
And that is what has stood for me all along. Mpaka leo, and I pray to God, it also stands for me on the 8th. So I would say my colleagues, wanawake wenzangu, tafadhalini, kwa unyenyekevu, mi naomba kura yenu. Tunasema Chamber mashinani, si hadithi, wala si maneno, ni vitendo. It is what you actually get done. And I have proved it, I have done it, and I shall continue doing it.
Thank you very much
Asante.
for coming, Fatma. Viewer, you've had it for yourself. It's sheer hard work. It doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. You can do it. And those are strong words from Fatma here. A very strong lady indeed. Listening to her story, what she's done, what she is intending to do, I believe she's going far. And I also believe that with that spirit, she's going to get what she's looking for. Well, Fatma, thank you very much for coming. And before I forget, I'd like to wish you and all our Muslim brothers and sisters out there a happy Eid. Eid Mubarak.
Asante.
Karibu sana. Well, viewer, we have come to the end of our program. If you have any comments, suggestions, or opinion, our email address info@gbskenya.com. Our SMS line is 21144. 21144 is the number. I've been your host, Timothy Omondi. Do have yourself a lovely time and enjoy yourself. Bye-bye for now.